districts must provide evidence of discussion and planning for reorganization to be eligible for all 3 years of supplementary weighting. When I talked to the person at the Department of Ed that is responsible for these reports that takes them to SBRC, she said, I need to have a copy of your board minutes from tonight. And she said, and any other board minutes through your school year from both boards that will just show that sharing has been on the agenda. And I thought, it's been on the agenda every month for almost 2 years. So it's not going to be hard to provide board minutes then. At the very bottom of that page, operational sharing, the shared human resource management position, which is payroll, transportation director, and superintendent will result in supplementary weighting for up to 5 years, as long as the district continuing to examine ways to share and discuss the organization. And that reduces each year by 20%. So the first year is 100% of the supplemental weighting, second year is 80, 60, 40, 20%.
How does it work when we share you last year and then these other 2 roles this year? Or is it 5 years for you and 5 years then beginning?
No.
It's not?
No. It's 5, wherever we start was called the baseline or year 1. So what we'll submit for the human resources management position and for transportation director will be funded at 80% of whatever the supplementary weighting is. Once you start to share a position in this operational area, the least funding that you'll get per school district is the equivalent of 10 students. So last year, for instance, at Wall Lakeview Auburn, because of the student enrollment, we qualified for 10.13. And SAC qualified for 9.76, or just under 10. But they rolled it on our 8 and 11 worksheet to 10. So both districts got relatively the same funding, and that's times per pupil cost, which is over $5,000 per student. The most a school district can have is the equivalent of 40 students under the operational sharing. Well, we won't be at 40, even when we add payroll, because that payroll position is a full-time. It'll be part-time, but with Bill's position, he'll be funded at the 10 students in each district, and John's will probably be maybe 2 or 3 students at the most. So we'll probably have the equivalent of about 20 or 22 students in each district for those positions, times the per pupil cost, times 80% rather than the 100%. Pardon?
There's still a fair amount.
Well, yeah, it certainly is. And that functional or operational sharing is good. And the prior years of full grade sharing, that was not those positions were, they encouraged you to do it, but they were funded differently. There was no incentive for it.
And they don't designate where that money has to go or anything like that?
No.
We put it probably what for it?
It would have to go into our general fund.
General fund.
I'm looking at Frank, yeah. Programs and school improvement, things you probably already know but maybe forgot about. We have a shared comprehensive school improvement plan. In fact, next year we have a shared site visit by the DE for accreditation. We have shared all of our professional development and our development plans are shared. We have shared calendar, handbooks, board policies, common evaluation instruments for staff. And we've made progress in some common language in the master contracts. Boards of education, each district maintains a 5-member board. The common board policies, you remember kind of going through those. That's really a positive for the board to have moved toward. When I talked to the DE, the person I spoke to said, one of the things you ought to get at is your handbooks and your calendar and your policies. And I'm like, geez, I would think that would be hard to be sharing and not have those things done. I said, we're done with all of those. So that felt good to be able to say that. Joint boards are working with Iowa Association of School Boards to determine joint priorities and goals for East County schools. We've had 2 meetings and we're scheduled to have a 3rd to finalize those. Full grade sharing, supplementary weighting, and this is just kind of verbatim, the explanation. Students attending class for all a substantial portion of the school day during a whole grade sharing agreement shall be eligible for supplementary weighting if the district adopts a resolution jointly with the other affected boards to study the question of undergoing a reorganization. There are 2 ways that reorganization can happen. You can petition to reorganize, or one district can dissolve. the dissolution never happens but in very small schools. Schools of equal size or schools our sizes never have one district dissolve to result in a reorganization. They have petitioned to reorganize. The district shall receive a weighting of 1/10 of the percentage of the time during which, which the student attends classes in another district. The district is eligible for the weighting for a maximum of 3 years. To receive weighting in the second and third years, the district must submit information resulting from the study to the SBRC indicating progress toward the objective of reorganization on or before July 1st, 2014. And if you move to the bottom, whole grade sharing, supplementary weighting, something called carry forward for reorganization. Districts that have been whole grade sharing reorganized on or after July 1st of 07 or on or before July 1st of 14, the newly reorganized district may be eligible for what's called a carry forward of the whole grade sharing supplementary weighting equal to the pupils added by the supplementary weighting plan for whole grade sharing in the year prior to reorganization. So you're looking at the numbers of kids. Let's say that next year we were going to enter and begin our first year as a reorganized district. They fall back to the school year prior to that and look at the numbers of students that would have been eligible for supplementary weighting, and there's carry forward, and for 3 consecutive years after reorganization, there's supplementary weighting. Now, I think I have 6 or 7 questions written down on a notepad and never found a person that, I think there are people that can answer the questions, but nobody was at work that could answer them for the last week and a half at the DE. So if you ask me something, I'm telling you more than likely I don't know the answer to something in this slide right here. The weighting shall be reduced by the supplementary weighting added for a pupil whose residency is not within the district, not within the reorganized district. So if we have whole grade sharings, or if we have open enrollment, and there'd be some court place students, there'd be some circumstances where there would be some kids attending school that wouldn't qualify us for any supplementary weighting. The weighting is available for a period of 3 years following the effective date of the reorganization. The second thing that I did not write about in reorganization is our basic formula for how schools are funded is based on a $5.40 tax rate that's uniform. It's called the uniform levy across the state of Iowa. If a school reorganizes the first year in reorganization, that's a $4.40 rate for the school district, and at the state level they input to, they pick up the balance of that dollar, okay? The next year it's 50 cents higher, the following year it's 50 cents higher, so you have 3 years of tax rate that changes as well once you start reorganization. And that I didn't write about, but that is another one of the incentives that are offered under current legislation. I would entertain some questions, and there probably are some. And again, I'm going to tell you, I may not know the answers to them, but I can sure find out.
Is our current sharing agreement 3 years or 5 years?
5 years. We have a 5-year agreement. There aren't any
How much upfront time is needed to get an organization going? You're not going to do that in the course of 1 year.
No. Probably not, no. There's a 78-page manual for reorganization. And I would say we'd probably be talking about a year and a half to move it at a pace that that we could all live with. The Department of Education and our area education agency begin to get involved once we start conversation about reorganization.